Hi.
Hi, this is Lori Borman of American Libraries, and I'm here with Stephen Dubner, who is the author of Think Like a Freak and Freakonomics. And he's here to participate and lead the Summit on the Future of Libraries participants. So tell us a little bit about what you hope to accomplish in your presentation.
Well, you scared me with that word lead. I don't know if I'm the leader of this summit. Certainly not, because I know much, much less about the current goals and challenges of libraries than everybody else in that room. I do have some thoughts about libraries, however, as a lifetime user. And also, this new book that we've written, Think Like a Freak, is really meant to sort of deputize anyone who wants to approach problems like we do, which is by looking at data and by understanding incentives. And in the case of the library, I think it's a really interesting situation in that the world is full of sort of accidents of history that we pretend aren't accidents of history. And what I mean by that is this. If you were to try to form the public library system, particularly today, can you imagine what that would be like in terms of the real estate challenge, but particularly if you were to go to publishers, book publishers, and say, hey, here's what we'd like to do. Have a big building, invite anyone and everyone for free, and we'll buy one copy of your book and then let 1,000 people read it. So there's no way that publishers would take a second meeting on that. And yet, libraries exist now with that model, and of course many, many other models having become the sort of public square of modern society. So to me, the fact that libraries exist as they do now is a remarkable and wonderful accident of history, but we shouldn't forget that it is an accident of history. We shouldn't forget that the modern challenges of society and finance and so on would conspire against something like that, and I think that informs how we need to think about the future.
Very interesting. In your book, Think Like a Freak, one of the pieces of advice is to think small. So when you're thinking of something as huge as the future, how do you think small?
Yeah, so you actually read it, which I'm glad to see. So I would say two things about that. Thinking about the future generally is really hard. We delude ourselves into thinking we can predict the future much better than we can. If you look at the data on this, you find that the biggest, best, most highly remunerated pundits and experts in all kinds of fields, whether it's politics, the financial markets, their predictions of the very best are basically about as good as a monkey with a dartboard. It is astonishing how poor we are generally at predicting the future, and especially the gap between how well we do and how well we think we can do. So I would say that when you're trying to figure out what the future will be, approach it with great humility and try to understand what you can and can't know about the future. That said, we obviously need to look toward the future because that's the direction we're going, not in the past. In terms of thinking small, I think that applies very much to libraries. It's very easy if you think macro, the future of the library. What do we do? It's very easy to get misled or waylaid by having grand, quixotic thoughts about what the entire mission is, about what will be the big macro changes or causes and effect that you can produce. And generally, when you look at people who think big, 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 they butt their heads against the wall of the same problem for 40, 50 years. It's very, very, very hard to solve a big problem or to turn a big ship. Thinking small, however, we can all do. So I would say that I'd rather have, if I had 100 people thinking about the future of the library, rather than bring those 100 together and sit for a series of meetings thinking about what is the big $1 million move we make, I'd rather have 100 of them go off on their own, come up with 100 small ideas. Probably 80 of them will be terrible. Of the remaining 20, 10 are probably not feasible. And of the remaining 10, 2 or 3 might be really, really good. And by doing small things that actually work, you improve the whole. So in the case of the library, there are so many things that the library now, so many functions that the library now serves. In New York City, where I live, there are more than 40 million visits a year to public libraries, which is more than all the cultural institutions and sports teams combined in a year. When I first saw that number, I did not believe it. Then I started to do the math, and I saw that it was true. So if you think about what are all those people there for, they don't all come just to check out books or magazines or newspapers. Look at the services that are being provided. It is the public square, especially in New York, for low-income people, especially for people who don't have broadband at home. And so what you see is if you concentrate on finding good small solutions of which a given library might offer 100 services to a given patron, rather than trying to reimagine the future from the top down, I think we would almost always meet with better success by thinking small.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to finding those small ideas. And have a great summit.
Thanks.